everyone, what's up? My name is Joss and welcome back to my channel, Squibblesreads. So as you can see, there are no books left on my bookshelf apart from a few of my very favorite books, and if you've been watching my channel for a little bit, you will know that I am in the process of moving. This weekend is the official move, so the truck is coming, we're moving all of our big shit like the desk and the TV and the entertainment unit and the bed and all that good stuff. So it's happening. This background will not be here for very much longer at all. Also, if you've been keeping up with me, you will know that the last week of my life has been extremely trying and really difficult for me, which is why I've been putting up videos for the past like 10 days or something like that. Putting videos up has literally been the last thing on my mind. It has been hard enough doing just basic menial tasks, just like everyday things. So I wanted to get something up for you today. So what I'm going to be doing is the end of the year book tag. I was tagged in this a little while ago by Adriana from Perpetual Pages, whose channel is amazing, and I will link down in the down bar below. I will also leave the link of the original video by the original creator in the down bar as well. You all know how that goes, and why don't we just get started? The first question is, are there any books that you've started this year that you need to finish? The book that I am in the middle of right now, I'm listening to on audiobook, is called The Animators by Kayla Ray Whitaker. This is a book that came out earlier in the year. It's like a contemporary-ish book. It's about two women whose names are Sharon and Mel, and they are both in art school. They're involved in various forms of art and also in filmmaking. One of them makes it big into like an indie film festival, and then the other one has to kind of grapple with her own art and what that means for her art and what that means for their friendship together. It talks a lot about being a woman and being involved in the arts and what that means in terms of creativity and work output and having a creative job as your means of earning money. Also things like friendship dynamics, power dynamics in the arts, all really interesting stuff. I'm about 3 hours into the audiobook, which I think is about 20% so far. I'm really enjoying it. The narrator is really engaging, so I look forward to continuing on with that one. And then in terms of physical books, because I have been having a very hard time, when I have a hard time, I like to also turn to books in which other characters are going through a hard time, and I literally research like most heartbreaking books or like books that made you cry, because I am just a masochist like that. But this book is called Imagine Me Gone by Adam Haslett. I am not very far through this, but basically it is also a contemporary type book about a man, and he is diagnosed with depression, and it really impacts his life in a lot of various ways, including doing everyday tasks and also dealing with his relationships with his child and his wife, and we get to see him go through those things. This book talks about things like different elements of control. One of the children is a very brilliant music prodigy, so we get to see things like that. It also discusses the climate during this time in 1960s in London, everything that's going on in society and how they view mental illness. A lot of really interesting stuff. I know a lot of people that I really trust have reviewed this book very favorably. They say that it's all the things that I've been looking for, which is great, because the last book that I tried, which was on my most anticipated releases video, was Things I'm Seeing Without You by Peter Bogdanyi. That book I DNF'd. It just wasn't really doing what I needed it to do, which is break my heart again. So those two books, the audiobook and then Imagine Me Gone, are the two that I'm working on right now. Question number 2 is, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? This question was really interesting to me because the way I view like transition stuff is like transitional jackets. So if you have like a more lined bomber jacket that's a little bit warmer, you could maybe transition it from fall to winter. But I don't think I've ever thought about books in that type of way. The only thing that I think that changes about my reading between like fall, winter, as we get into the colder months, is that I like dark, creepy things all year, but in the winter, the things just get darker and creepier that I read. So like more intense thrillers, I guess. Question number 3 is there any release that you are waiting for? It is like the second week of December, so I don't think there's anything that I'm waiting for this year. However, in 2018, there are a lot of books that I'm super excited for. Question number 4 is, what are 3 books that you want to read before the end of the year? One of them is a book that I had on my Tome Topple TBR and I just never got around to because I was loving the audiobook of Echo by Pam Munoz Ryan, which is a book that I talked about in my recommendations video. I'll leave that in the card up there. But this is the book that I didn't get to and is very large and very heavy. This is The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne. This talks about a man named Cyril, and we see him kind of grow up, and he is gay, and we see how that impacts him in society during this time. It is set in a rural Irish community in the 1940s, and people who identify as gay are very discriminated against during this time. To compound that, his mother had him when she was very young, so we also get to see some of the repercussions and what people think of that. I heard that this moves very fast. It is also kind of heartbreaking. It really touches the emotions. So I hope I do get to finish this one before the end of the year. I mean, this is like over 500 pages, and I am going to be like lifting tables all weekend, so we'll see. And then another book that I also want to finish, I think it was on like my November TBR. I don't read the books on my TBR, and that is okay. Anyways, this book is A Line in the Dark by Melinda Lo. I don't know too much about the plot other than it is billed as a thriller. It has Asian American representation, I think specifically Chinese American representation. It has girls who identify in the queer community, friendship dynamics, and also relationship dynamics in high school. These are definitely all elements of a book that I really like. The cover is also especially creepy. And the third of the books that I hope to read before the end of the year is a little bit smaller, thankfully. This book is called The Hole by Ha Young Pyun. This is about a man who has just woken up from a coma, and his caretaker is his mother-in-law when he wakes up, and he is reflecting on his relationship with his wife, who at one point in time, her only livelihood left in life was cultivating and growing things in the garden. And in the garden, she has to dig holes to plant things, and that is kind of what this surrounds. A lot of the themes that are in this book are loneliness and grief and finding your identity. So I really am looking forward to this. I think Matthew recommended it to me. Don't quote me on that, but I think he did. The next question is there a book that you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? This question I think is also really interesting, because if I thought that a book would be my favorite book of the year, it wouldn't be shocking. I would be expecting it. So I guess this question is like, are there any books that you think you would dislike or you think would be kind of mediocre that would just kind of pop out of nowhere? The only book that I can really think of that may surprise me a little bit, and not because I have low expectations of it, but because I have seen a few people review this and they didn't really enjoy it as much as they expected to, that's A Line in the Dark by Melinda Lo. I think Riley mentioned in her latest reading vlog that she said that she was expecting like some big thriller element to it because it is marketed as a thriller, and there was none of those elements in there, and she felt quite bored. I hope that doesn't happen with me, and I really hope to enjoy this because I've heard wonderful things about Melinda Lo, and it has all the elements of a story that I really enjoy. So we will see about this, but my expectations have been lowered a little bit, but I still expect to like it. I don't know why. I was whispering right there. No one's home, so I can talk as loud as I want to. But the last question is, have you started making reading plans for 2018? And I really right now don't know my head from my ass, so I don't really even know what I'm doing tomorrow. So I don't really have reading plans for 2018 other than I hope to read more consistently than I was reading this year. For the first half of the year, I was planning wedding, getting my master's degree, all that stuff, working a million hours a week. So there was literally no time to read because I was out of the house from 7 in the morning until 11 at night. It was literal hell. So I hope to read more consistently. Like, even if I don't manage like an 18 book month like I had in October, I would say anywhere like 5+ books a month every single month for 2018 would probably be like my goal. Mainly because I do use reading as a form of self-care. And like I was saying with Imagine Me Gone, if I'm feeling a lot of heartbreak, I think that when I read a story about another person who's also feeling heartbreak, it helps the empathy piece, which is something that I didn't have in the first half of 2017 when I was not on BookTube and totally not reading at all. So I think consistency is the only reading plan that I have for 2018. Apart from that, no plans. And then other book things for 2018, I do have kind of like wishy-washy plans. I do really want to go to BookNet Fest, which is happening again. It's gonna be 2 days this year. I didn't get to go last year because I was running a half marathon, but I really hope to be there this year. And then I also kind of want to go to BEA. It depends how the whole thing pans out because last year they changed a lot of things that I wasn't really into, but we can talk more about that later. So yeah, just kind of vague plans right now. So that is it for this video. Let me know down in the comments below, number 1, if you have any tips for moving. I said that in one of my past videos. No one had any tips for moving besides like 2 people. So give me your moving tips, please, because I'm very nervous. Number 2, if you don't have any moving tips, please let me know what you like to do for self-care down in the comments. I know that this time of year is very stressful for some people. There are things like final exams. We're thinking about like insurance for next year. We're thinking about mortgages for next year, finances. Also seeing our families, which are our families, but sometimes we disagree with them. Sometimes that can be very stressful for some people during the holidays, thinking about presents and just all of that stuff can be very stressful. So if you are also going through a hard and stressful time, please take some time for self-care and leave it down in the comments what you do for self-care. So thank you very much for watching. I hope things get better and I hope this move goes very smoothly. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.